I want to know about these notes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I need to know what
here.
the notes are doing.
I told him the two people I've seen in my career who had the most notes when they came out were Gary
Shandling.
Gary Shandling, and Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers had a lot of notes. And I recently ran into Melissa Rivers and I said, I remembered your mom, whenever time she came on my show, she was backstage with tons of, and she filled in for me, notes. She said, Mom really believed in preparing. So you have brought your notes with you.
I just had a couple questions for you guys.
Okay.
Because I talk about it in the special. Did you guys have a sex talk growing up?
No.
I did not, no.
I did.
Ugh.
But I gave it to my dad.
What was it?
I want to get me some sex, is what you said.
Dad, you're gonna want to be with a woman. No, he just gave me the most uncomfortable right before dropping me off to high school. Like, okay, you're gonna want to try drugs and have sex, and just be safe and don't overdo either of them. Have a great day.
Wow, that's
it was
not
great.
bad advice.
No,
That's
it was
pretty
really good.
good.
And for that reason, I didn't do either for a long time.
And I've been accused of overdoing sex. I don't know what that means.
What?
Yeah,
Overdid
you
it.
overdid it. What?
I didn't have a sex talk growing up, but when I was probably around 20, I was living with my girlfriend for a summer, and then my dad...
And she had the talk with you. We're going to do something soon.
My dad was
going to be scary.
My dad was very upset about it, and he just sort of like, before I left, he looked at me for a little bit, and he goes, "You're playing with fire."
Oh,
Oh my
wow.
God.
And that was the whole conversation.
That was your sex
yeah,
talk?
Yeah. And I was like,
Oh
I got
my
a hose. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Oh, that's...
So that,
Don't involve
I
the
did
hose.
not get a sex talk, and I'm
Waiting
still
for it?
waiting.
still waiting. Yeah. Oh, this is the thing I'll say. I take the Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend podcast premise, I think, much more seriously than the other guests. Last time, I demanded to have a real friendship with Conan.
Yeah.
Since then, we visited the Pope.
Yep.
And we had coffee in Brooklyn.
We did.
Oh,
There were 2 definitive dates.
And I am coming on your podcast
You're
when I
coming
can
on
get
my
my ass
podcast?
to New York.
Yep.
And I feel badly because we walked in and your assistant was
Assistant,
here,
yep.
who works with you on the podcast.
Yep.
And she has an antiquated name.
Mabel.
Mabel.
Mabel Lewis, yeah.
It's not a name you hear all, but Mabel. You don't hear Mabel a lot. And
She's gonna love that.
But I
She has an antiquated name.
Yeah.
my God.
no, and she was wearing a bonnet.
She was wearing a bonnet.
She was wearing a bonnet, and she was
It was a horse. She came
was-
on in a horse-drawn carriage.
And but she was in the podcast room when I walked in. This very nice young woman wearing a bonnet, and she was working a loom when I came.
It was a
in.
loom. Yeah.
She had an antiquated name, said Conan. I mean, that's the part that's so...
Yeah, I know.
She seems lovely, and she's going. I'll be seeing her at the podcast.
Yes.
And I yelled at her for even daring to be in here. Mock yelled at her, and
Yeah.
I said, for symmetry, she needs to scream at me when I come to your podcast.
But I want to move my friendship with Conan to a quarterly this year. Yeah.
You mean
Right now we did two meetings in the last year and a half.
Let's see.
Double
You know
up.
what I'm going to do? I think I'm going to be in New York in June. And that's when this, is it drops?
That's when this drops.
It drops, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we should get together
Yeah.
in June, and I'll either do your podcast or we'll meet up for more than coffee. What's more than coffee? A lunch.
I think a lunch. Yeah.
Okay. Not a dinner. I won't do a dinner with you.
Okay. Fair.
Next year.
We'll see.
So we went to Italy. My daughter was there. Your son was there.
Mm-hmm.
And so my daughter met Conan. Of course, just thinks he's another person going to the Vatican.
Yeah.
Doesn't just this tall man going to the Vatican also.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the Oscars come on, we show her the Oscars.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, remember him? Conan from the Vatican. So that
How old is your daughter? She's 44.
She's 44 years old. Yeah. No, she just turned 10. But we showed her the Oscars, and we laughed at the Adam Sandler bit a lot.
mhm.
It's like it's really silly, him wearing a hooded sweatshirt.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day, I drove her to school, and I was wearing a hooded sweatshirt, And she goes, "You look like Adam." And I go, "Adam who?" And she goes, "Adam from the Oscars." I think that's the only time he's ever been referred to as Adam from the Oscars.
Yes. That's, you know what you said in your special? And
It's cute.
which was sweet was that whenever you're out in the real world and someone comes up to you and says, "Oh, I love your comedy." You had this great line about your kid's response.
Yeah. I said to her, because I was thinking, I was like, that's so weird for her, probably. Someone's like, "Oh, you're a great comedian." And I walked a few blocks. I go, "What do you think when people say stuff like that?" And she goes, "It's a waste of my time." I was like, that's the meanest thing anyone's ever said to me. And I know Bill Burr.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
No,
That killed me.
It's really funny. My kids have a great, healthy disinterest from my shenanigans professionally. And I think way deep down, they're proud of if I do some good work, but mostly, again, a waste of their time.
Yeah.
And I remembered walking through the street once, down the street, and I was with my daughter. And do you ever, I reuse some lines, and what I get a lot is "you're much taller in person."
Sure.
I get that all the time. And so I just learned the thing that always works is people be like, "Hey, you're much taller than you are on TV." And I say, "And you're much taller in person than you are on TV." And I'll say, "Well, you need a bigger TV." And it always works. It just works. I'll say, "You need a 6'4" television." They're like, "Ha ha ha," and we're done. I did that, and my daughter shot me a look. This is a bunch of years ago. She shot me a look and she said, "You've done that one before."
Oh.
And I said, "You want an original line for every human I meet?" And she kind of gave me a look like, "Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't reuse material."
Yeah.
And I'm like, "You can when you're walking around a mall. What are you talking about?" We really got into it, and I started screaming at her, which I promised I'd never do. I said I'd never be that dad, but that's what we got into it.